Level 1, the open water diver. You sign up for your first scuba class at a community pool on a Tuesday evening. The instructor is a retired marine biologist with a faded wetsuit and a coffee thermos he never puts down. You learn to clear your mask underwater. You learn to share air with a buddy. You learn the hand signals. Thumbs up means ascend, not good job. You take your first open water dive in a lake in Florida. Visibility is maybe 20 feet. The bottom is mud and old fishing line. You see a largemouth bass, and you think it is the most incredible thing you have ever witnessed in your life. You have no idea what is coming. You get your certification card in the mail 3 weeks later. It is laminated and has your face on it, and it is the size of a credit card. You carry it in your wallet everywhere. You tell people you are a certified diver at parties. You show them the card. Most of them are not impressed. You do not care. You are already thinking about your next dive. You start reading online forums at midnight. Technical diving forums. Cave diving forums. People posting photos from inside underwater tunnels in Mexico, in Florida, in the Yucatan Peninsula. Crystal clear water the color of turquoise glass. Stalactites hanging from rock ceilings 50 feet below the surface. Passages that disappear into absolute darkness 100 meters ahead. You look at those photographs for a long time. Something shifts inside you. Something that does not have a name yet. You book a trip to Ginny Springs in High Springs, Florida. It is one of the most famous spring systems in the world. You do your first spring dive in Gin, clear water with 200 feet of visibility. You can see the cave entrance from 60 feet away. A dark mouth in the limestone bottom, maybe 15 feet wide, with a sign bolted to the rock next to it. The sign reads "Stop. Prevent your death. Go no further. Specialized training is required beyond this point. Divers have died here without it." You float above that opening and stare into the darkness for a long time. Your buddy taps your shoulder. Time to ascend. You look up at the surface shimmering 20 feet above you, then back down into the cave. You ascend, but you do not stop thinking about it. Not that day. Not the week after. Not ever. That darkness called you something, and now it will not stop. Level 2, the Cavern diver. You spend 1,500 on your first specialized training course. Your instructor is a man named Davis, who has been cave diving for 22 years, and has the handshake of someone who has pulled himself through tight underwater passages by his fingertips for 2 decades. He is not warm. He is not encouraging in the way your open water instructor was. He tells you on the first day that most people who die in caves were confident. He says confidence is the most dangerous thing you can bring into an overhead environment. Cavern diving means you stay inside the natural light zone. You can still see daylight from the entrance at all times. You cannot go deeper than 70 feet. You cannot penetrate more than 200 feet from open water. These are not suggestions. These are the rules that keep people alive. You learn them until they are automatic. The way you know your own address. You carry 3 lights now. A primary light with a canister battery that lasts 4 hours. 2 backup lights clipped to your harness. Davis tells you about the rule of 3. In open water, 1 light failure is an inconvenience. In a cave, 1 light failure is an emergency. 2 failures is a death sentence. You understand this differently than you have understood anything before. Understanding inside a cave is physical. It sits in your chest differently than understanding in a classroom. You practice buoyancy for hours before Davis lets you near a cave entrance. Absolute buoyancy control. You must hover motionless without touching the bottom, because the bottom in most caves is a layer of fine white silt that has been settling for 10,000 years. 1 careless fin kick sends it billowing into the water column in a cloud that drops visibility to 0 in under 30 seconds. 0 visibility inside a cave is not the same as 0 visibility in open water. In open water, you ascend. In a cave, there is no up that saves you. There is only the guideline and your ability to follow it with your hands in absolute darkness. You do your first cavern dive. Natural light filters through the entrance behind you, painting the limestone walls in pale blue. You move slowly. You breathe slowly. Everything you have ever known about breathing changes inside an overhead environment. Davis watches your every movement. You pass. He signs your certification card without celebration. He says, "Now you know how much you do not know." You drive home in silence, thinking about the darkness ahead of you. Level 3, The intro cave diver, you have 25 cave dives under your belt before your instructor will consider taking you to the next level. You spent those dives inside caverns in North Florida, doing the same passages over and over until your movements felt less like decisions and more like instinct. Running guideline, navigating jumps, air sharing with a buddy in conditions where you could not see your hand in front of your face. You did not rush it. Davis told you not to rush it. You listened. Now you are at the intro course. You are inside the cave beyond the natural daylight zone for the first time in your life. The light from the entrance is completely gone. Your primary light illuminates maybe 10 feet ahead. The passage is 15 feet wide and the ceiling is 8 feet above you. You can hear your own breathing amplified by the rock. You can hear your heartbeat. The water is 68 degrees Fahrenheit and crystal clear, fed by a deep underground aquifer that has never seen sunlight. You learn the rule of thirds. 1/3 of your gas to go in, 1/3 to come out, 1/3 in reserve. This is the law that separates cave diving from suicide. There is no surfacing if you run out of gas inside a cave. You are inside solid rock. You carry your bailout gas on your hip in Sidemount cylinders, one on each side. You have practiced removing them, sharing them, passing them to a buddy with your eyes closed. In a simulation where your primary light has failed and your first backup has failed, and you are running on a tiny penlight clipped to the webbing on your chest. The first time you reach a jump, you understand what it means to be truly committed to a decision. A jump is where the main guideline ends, and you must deploy your own reel to continue into a side passage. If you get confused coming back, if you clip your jump reel to the wrong line or lose it in a silt out, you will follow the wrong tunnel looking for an exit that does not exist. You take the jump cleanly. You lay a perfect line. You come back without incident. Your instructor says nothing. In this world, silence is praise. Level 4, the full cave diver. This is the certification most people never reach. This is where the recreational world ends completely and a different kind of life begins. You have logged more than 100 dives since your cavern course. You have been inside caves in Florida, in the Yucatan, in the Bahamas. You have made mistakes and corrected them before they became emergencies. You have felt real fear underground and you have managed it. You are ready. Full cave certification means you can dive any cave system on Earth within recreational depth limits. You can run complex navigation. You can execute circuits and traverses, dives that enter through one opening and exit through another, with no single continuous guideline back to safety. You are responsible for your own navigation, your own gas, your own life. Your buddy is responsible for theirs. You help each other, but you do not depend on each other. Dependence is how 2 people die instead of 1. You spend 8 days training. The skills you drill include lost line procedures, finding the main guideline in complete blackout after you have lost contact with it. You do this with your eyes closed because opening them provides no information in a zero visibility environment. Your hands move across the rock, feeling for the thin white nylon cord that is the only thing that knows the way out. You find it every time. You have to find it every time. On the final dive of your certification, your instructor kills your primary light without warning 800 feet inside a cave system. He kills your first backup. You switch to your tiny penlight. You find the guideline. You navigate out 800 feet of black passage with 4 inches of light and 30 cubic feet of gas. You surface in the spring basin, blinking in the Florida sunlight. Your hands are shaking, not from fear, from something else. Something you will spend years trying to explain to people who will never understand it, because they have never been that far inside the dark. Level 5, the technical diver. The recreational limit for cave diving is 130 feet. You have been to 130 feet. You have run out of things to see at 130 feet in most of the systems you dive. The passages keep going down. You can see them going down. There is a ledge at 140 feet in one Florida cave, and below the ledge the passage drops into a shaft that descends past the range of your light. You have hovered at that ledge many times. You have looked down into it for a long time. You begin technical training, decompression diving, trimix, helium blended into your breathing gas to reduce nitrogen narcosis at depth and oxygen toxicity in deep passages. You learn to manage multiple cylinders with different gas mixtures, each labeled and dedicated to a specific depth range. At 200 feet, The gas in your primary tanks becomes toxic if you breathe it at the surface. At 300 feet, a different mix becomes toxic if you breathe it too deep. Managing this requires a level of mental discipline that has no civilian equivalent. Decompression means you cannot simply ascend when you want to. At depth, nitrogen dissolves into your blood and tissues. Ascend too fast, and it comes out of solution as bubbles inside your body, decompression sickness, joint pain, paralysis, stroke, death. You must stop at specific depths for specific amounts of time on your way up, sometimes for hours. You hang in open water or in a cave passage 40 feet below the surface, breathing from a dedicated oxygen cylinder, doing nothing, watching your dive computer count down minutes. You are committed to the water for hours whether you want to be or not. You make your first dive to 200 feet. The passage at the bottom is enormous. A cathedral of white limestone stretching beyond the range of your lights. You are the first person to see this section of this cave. No record of it exists anywhere. You take a bearing, you note the depth, you begin laying guideline into unexplored stone. This is what you came here for. This is what all of it was for. Level 6, the Sidemount specialist caves do not always open into cathedrals. Sometimes they tighten. The passage goes from 15 feet wide to 8 feet wide to 4 feet wide to a horizontal slot that is 18 inches high and 6 feet across. Standard back-mount diving, twin tanks on your back, does not fit through an 18-inch slot. You either stop or you adapt. Sidemount configuration puts your cylinders along your sides instead of your back. You breathe from tanks clipped to your hips, running your regulators up to your mouth along your chest. Your profile is completely flat. You can slide through restrictions that would stop a back-mount diver completely. You learn to unhook a tank, push it ahead of you through the restriction, pull yourself through behind it, reconnect it, continue. Your body becomes reconfigurable equipment. The training is humbling. You have been diving for years. You have 500 cave dives. You feel competent. Then you put side-mount equipment on for the first time, and you cannot maintain trim. The tanks want to float up or sink depending on how much gas is in them. Your left side has more gas than your right. You compensate constantly. You have to relearn buoyancy from scratch. Davis watches you struggle and says nothing for 40 minutes. Then he says, you dive doubles like someone who has always dived doubles. Now you have to learn to dive like someone who has never dived at all. You understand what he means. The restrictions you can access now go somewhere the survey maps do not. The passage at 80 feet has a section marked on old maps as a terminal restriction. Impassable. You push through it on your third attempt, dragging both cylinders behind you, your face 2 inches from the rock ceiling. On the other side, the cave opens into a room 30 feet high. There are stalactites that have never been touched. There are formations that took 100,000 years to grow. You are the first person to enter this room in all of human history. You take photographs. You take a bearing. You deploy new guideline. You come back and tell no one except your survey partner because this is how it works. This world does not want attention. It wants divers who deserve to be in it. Level 7, the Cave Explorer, you are not diving caves anymore. You are mapping them. There is a difference. A diver goes in, experiences the cave, comes out. An explorer goes in to push the known limits of a system, to extend the survey, to find what no one has found. You carry a survey slate, a compass, a depth gauge, and a measuring reel in addition to everything else. Every dive generates data. Distances, bearings, depths, formations, water temperature, flow direction. The data becomes a map. The map becomes part of the permanent scientific record of a cave system that was forming before humans existed. You are a member of a survey team in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, working a system that is connected to the Sac-Acton network, the longest known underwater cave system on Earth at over 350 kilometers mapped. Your team has been working a side passage for 14 months. You dive every day when conditions allow. You push 50 feet of new passage on a good day, 200 feet on an exceptional one. Progress is measured in feet, not miles, because every foot of new passage has to be surveyed, documented, and safely accessible to the next diver who follows your guideline. You find a connection, a previously unknown tunnel linking your side passage to a mapped section of a different cave system 3 kilometers away. The two systems are now one system. The total mapped length of the Sac-Acton network increases by the length of your connection. You file the survey report. A scientist in a university somewhere adds it to the database. A cave that took millions of years to form is now slightly less unknown. That is all exploration is. Slightly less unknown. You do it anyway because someone has to and because you cannot stop. Your dive log has 400 entries. You have spent more cumulative hours underwater in caves than most people spend on any single pursuit in their lifetime. Your back hurts. Your ears ring sometimes from the pressure changes. You have had 2 decompression incidents, managed, treated, no permanent damage. You have found 3 bodies. Other divers who came in without enough training, or enough gas, or enough humility. You guided the recovery teams to them. You do not talk about it at dinner. You carry it the way you carry everything from the dark, quietly, forward. Level 8, the deep cave diver. There is a shaft in a cave in Florida called Eagle's Nest. The surface of the water is unremarkable. A sinkhole in a wildlife management area. No signs of what waits below. You drop below the surface and the bottom falls away. At 30 feet the walls spread apart. At 60 feet the shaft widens to the size of a house. At 93 meters, 310 feet, the bottom appears. Around the edges of the bottom, passages extend horizontally into the rock in every direction. At 93 meters on Trimix, breathing a carefully calculated blend of helium, nitrogen, and oxygen, your mind is clear. The helium has countered the narcosis that would make you drunk and stupid on air at this depth. Your decompression obligation on the way up is 90 minutes. You are committed to this water for 2 hours minimum. You have enough gas for 4. You have calculated this across 12 cylinders, some on your back, some on your sides, some staged at 30 feet on a line to the surface. The logistics of this dive took 6 hours to plan. You push into a horizontal passage at depth. The ceiling is above you, the floor below. At this depth, your dry suit is compressed to almost nothing by the pressure. The water temperature is 68 degrees and the suit provides almost no insulation. You are cold. You have been cold for 40 minutes. You will be cold for another hour and 20 minutes. You have learned to work inside discomfort so completely that cold is just information, the same as depth and direction and gas volume. Shekexley dove here. He dove deeper than this in other systems and eventually died at 906 feet in a Mexican cenote, trying to be the first person below 1,000 feet. They found him wrapped in his own descent line. The cause of death was never determined. High-pressure nervous syndrome, narcosis, oxygen toxicity. The deep water does not tell you what it took. You think about Exley sometimes at depth, when the passages extend past your light into dark that has no end. He went further than you. He went further than almost anyone. It still was not far enough. Level 9, the record setter. There are maybe 50 people alive who dive at this level. You know most of them by name. Some of them are your competitors. Some of them are your friends. Some of them are both. The cave diving community at the absolute frontier is smaller than the graduating class of a medium-sized high school, and it is held together by a shared understanding that what you all do will kill some of you, and that this is a price the rest have decided to pay. You are attempting a dive to 250 meters, 820 feet, in the Font-Estremar cave system in southern France. The preparation has taken 11 months. You have made 200 preparatory dives, staging gas cylinders at depth increments throughout the system, testing your equipment at pressure, calibrating your rebreather, a closed-circuit device that recycles your breathing gas, removing carbon dioxide and adding oxygen, giving you gas for hours instead of minutes. Your rebreather is custom configured. Multiple redundant systems. You have trained scenarios where every component fails simultaneously. You have trained scenarios where you are incapacitated at depth and must rely on muscle memory alone to begin an ascent. The dive takes 7 hours. You are alone in the cave below 200 meters. Your support team waits at 40 feet. They cannot help you at depth. No one can help you at depth. If something goes wrong below 150 meters, you handle it or you die. That is the only calculation at this level. The passage narrows at 240 meters. You are on a DPV, a diver propulsion vehicle, a torpedo-shaped scooter, moving through passage that no human has entered before you. The rock walls are close. The water is black beyond your lights. At 2 to 52 meters, you secure your line to a rock and take your bearing. You are deeper inside the earth than almost any human being has ever been underwater. You ascend. The decompression takes 5 hours. You hang in the cave passage running through gas calculations, monitoring your rebreather, watching your dive computer. At the surface, your support team pulls you out of the water. Your legs do not work properly. The cold and the pressure and the time have taken something. It comes back over the next 24 hours. You file your depth record with the certification agency. A number in a database. You were there. The cave was there. The rock does not know or care about records. Level 10, the ghost, you are 58 years old. You have 200 log cave dives. The guideline you laid in a Yucatan passage in 1998 is still down there, orange nylon fading to white in the crystal water, marking a route that other divers now use as a highway. They do not know who laid it. The guideline does not have your name on it. Nothing does. Your knees are damaged from decades of kneeling on rock at decompression stops. Your ears have permanent barotrauma. You lost the hearing in your left ear above 8,000 hertz 8 years ago. The doctor said it was cumulative pressure damage. You said nothing. You already knew. You knew it the way you know everything about your body now, as a catalog of costs, paid incrementally over 30 years in exchange for something you still cannot adequately explain to anyone who was not there. You go back to Ginny Springs one last time, not to dive the cave, just to sit beside the spring basin in the afternoon light. The water comes up from the aquifer at a constant 68 degrees. It is the same temperature it was the first day you dove here. The cave entrance is still visible from the surface, 20 feet down. The sign is still there. Staup. Prevent your death. Specialized training is required beyond this point. You sit there for a long time. You think about the faces. Davis, who signed your first certification card and taught you that silence is more dangerous than fear. The survey partner who held your guideline at 200 feet while you pushed into new passage. The 3 divers you helped recover from the dark. The colleagues whose dive computers you still have somewhere, given to you by families who did not know what else to do with them. You think about the rooms no one has seen yet. The passage is still going down. There is a young diver on the dock. Maybe 22 years old, new certification card fresh in his wallet. He is staring at the cave entrance the same way you stared at it 30 years ago. He has that look. You have seen it hundreds of times, and you know exactly what it means. He does not know what is waiting for him in there. He does not know about the darkness and the cold and the cost. He will find out. They always find out. The spring keeps flowing. The cave keeps going. The cycle continues.